Okay, let's dive into this. Because when we start talking about the 2026 World Cup, there is absolutely no bigger wild card than the German national squad. Welcome to today's explainer, guys. We are looking at a team that honestly could lift the whole trophy or completely crash and burn in the very first knockout round. It is a massive, high-stakes gamble. So we're going to break down exactly why this highly debated, completely unpredictable project is coming together the way it is.
Now, to really grasp the suffocating pressure on this team, we have to look back just a bit. Think back to 2014. Germany was sitting on top of the world, right? The absolute peak of world football with a legendary squad. But then, wow, what a crushing decline. 2018, a totally shocking group stage exit. And 2022, another disastrous exit at the group stage. The fall from grace has been dizzying. So 2026 isn't just another tournament. This is literally a make-or-break year for German football to prove they still belong with the global elite.
Let's hit Section 1, Fading Veterans, Missing Leaders.
When you look at the 2022 or 2024 Euro squad side by side with this 2026 roster, the contrast is night and day. You immediately notice this massive gaping void left by prime, established leaders. Think about Toni Kroos, right? His return in 2024 instantly changed the entire DNA of that team. But looking at 2026, there is a glaring lack of that prime calming experience. We're seeing a severe drop-off in reliable leadership, and instead the squad is leaning way too heavily on fading stars, who might just be past their peak.
Just look at some of these baffling personnel choices. On one hand, you've got Julian Nagelsmann making these super controversial veteran picks. We're talking Leon Goretzka, who, let's be real, many feel is well past his prime, Leroy Sané, who has been way out of form, and Pascal Gross. But then, look who is literally sitting at home. Anton Stock, coming off a brilliant season. Karim Adeyemi, sidelined despite racking up 10 goals and 6 assists. Or what about 19-year-old Said El Mala with 13 goals and 5 assists? It's crazy. Nagelsmann is taking a massive risk here, picking out-of-form veterans over young guys who are currently playing out of their minds.
Moving on to Section 2, the goalkeeper chemistry crisis.
You really have to feel for Oliver Baumann here. For 2.5 years, this guy was doing everything right. He was actively being groomed as Germany's #1. He put in the sweat, he was completely ready for the spotlight. Then, out of nowhere, he gets sidelined, pushed right back to the bench. He actually came out and bluntly said, "I was ready. It comes to me as a surprise." You know, when a manager pulls a sudden U-turn on a loyal player like that, it doesn't just hurt the player. It instantly injects friction and massive trust issues directly into the locker room's dynamic.
Because, of course, the guy replacing Baumann is Manuel Neuer. Now, nobody is doubting the 2014 version of Manuel Neuer. Back then, he was the undisputed greatest goalkeeper on the planet, a literal brick wall. But 2026 Neuer, we've seen him making some really uncharacteristic, costly errors lately, even against clubs like RB Leipzig. So it begs a massive rhetorical question. Is bringing back the 2026 version of Neuer a vital tactical move for his experience, or is it just a dangerously stubborn legacy pick that's actively destroying squad morale?
Next up, Section 3, Young Midfield, High-Risk Tactics.
To make up for that lack of prime veterans in the middle of the pitch, Nagelsmann is rolling the dice on a very young double pivot. We're talking Angelo Stiller from Stuttgart and Alessandro Pavlovic from Bayern Munich. Now, don't get me wrong, these two are brilliant. They're highly technical, super flexible, and they can dictate the tempo of a game beautifully. But there is a glaring lack of big tournament experience between them. They're so young. When the heat gets turned up in a World Cup knockout match, do they actually possess the grit to handle that suffocating pressure? Honestly, we just don't know yet. And while the midfield is busy learning on the job, the defense has a massive, terrifying structural flaw. Seriously, look at the roster and ask yourself, who actually backs up Joshua Kimmich at right back? The answer is practically nobody. Sure, Kimmich is an absolute machine who usually plays the full 90, but this is a World Cup. One bad tackle, one twisted ankle, or a random yellow card suspension, and this whole defensive structure could completely derail. It is a crazy vulnerability.
To survive a vulnerability like that, Nagelsmann relies heavily on his trademark tactical flexibility. He is a brilliant tactician, no doubt about it. He'll seamlessly shift from a 3-at-the-back system right into a traditional back 4, just depending on who they're playing against. But here's the catch. Flexibility only works if your individual defenders actually execute. Guys like Antonio Rudiger are world-class for their clubs, but lately they've been struggling with uncharacteristic errors while wearing the national team shirt. So while the system is incredibly smart, the actual execution is highly volatile.
Let's look at Section 4, Destructive Attack or Flop.
The sheer talent assembled up front is insane. This forward line has an astronomically high ceiling. You've got Florian Wirtz operating as the ultimate creative talisman. Add Jamal Musiala with his absolutely elite dribbling and vision. Throw in Kai Havertz, who we all know can bag clutch goals when the lights are brightest. And then you've got Leonard Carl, this incredibly exciting, unproven youth wildcard. On paper, this attack could literally dismantle any defense in the world. But because they lack a traditional target man and rely so heavily on intricate, fast-paced connections, if they fail to click immediately, the whole machine could just completely stall out.
And getting that chemistry to click relies almost entirely on the manager, which could be a problem. Look at Nagelsmann's expectation for perfect discipline and perfect work ethic, and then compare it to the reality of his public criticisms. He publicly criticized Dennis Undob's effort. We're talking about one of the most informed German strikers, and Undob actually had to go to the press to defend his own work rate. When a manager uses that kind of blunt, public criticism, it creates a very real breeding ground for toxic team chemistry issues.
Which leads us to the biggest, reddest flag of this whole project. Are man management conflicts going to totally destroy this squad's chemistry? It's no secret that Nagelsmann has a documented history of locker room friction. We saw it blow up during his time at Bayern Munich. Now take a squad mixing fading veterans who might feel a bit entitled, with young kids feeling the weight of the world, and add a manager known for a volatile temperament. Yeah, that could easily ruin the entire project before it even gets off the ground.
And finally, Section 5, Glory or Early Exit.
Let's look at the immediate path ahead in the group stage. First up, Curaçao. And a lot of fans are already chalking that up as an easy, guaranteed win. But warning bells should be ringing loud and clear for what comes after. They have to face the Ivory Coast, which is going to be an insanely physical, grueling challenge that will absolutely test the grit of that young midfield. And then Ecuador, a wildly underestimated threat that constantly surprises people at tournaments. Matches against physical, hungry teams like these will quickly, ruthlessly expose any tactical or chemistry weaknesses in this German side. So, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Are we looking at the future world champions, or are we bracing for a disastrous round of 32 exit? The raw talent to lift the trophy is absolutely there, for sure. But when you factor in the massive lack of leadership, those bizarre veteran selections, and a locker room that feels like a powder keg waiting for a spark, they are the tournament's ultimate wildcard. Keep the insights from this explainer in mind as the tournament kicks off, because watching this high-risk gamble play out on the world stage is going to be fascinating. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I'll catch you next time.